Good morning everyone. My name is Meena, working as an assistant professor in the department of CSC AIML. Today our topic is unsupervised machine learning technique. So this is the overview of our lecture. The first one is what is unsupervised learning technique and what are the steps involved in unsupervised learning technique and how it works and the types of unsupervised learning technique. There are two types. The first one is clustering and the next one is association. Coming to unsupervised learning technique. So unsupervised learning is a type of machine learning technique in which machines are trained by using the unlabeled data set and that are allowed to act on the same data without any supervision. So this is the reason we are calling this technique as unsupervised learning technique. There is no supervision on the training of a system. So unlabeled data set means, we have the input data, but there is no corresponding output data for this input data. So this is what unlabeled data set. Labeled data set, it means that we have input data and corresponding output data also. So that is called as labeled data, and when we are having no corresponding output data, that is called as unlabeled data set. There may be many cases in which we do not have labeled data and we need to find out the hidden patterns from the given data set. So to solve that type of problems in machine learning, we need unsupervised learning technique. And the main goal of unsupervised learning technique is to find the structure of the data set and to find the hidden patterns from the data set, and group that data according to the similarities. So this is what the main goal of unsupervised learning technique, and finally we need to represent that data set in a compressed format. So this is the main goal of unsupervised learning technique. So coming to why we need to use this unsupervised learning technique. So these are the reasons why we need to use unsupervised learning technique. So the first one is it is beneficial in finding useful insights or useful hidden patterns from the given input data, and it works in a same way as human learns to think by their own experiences, and this is the main purpose of artificial intelligence, how human thinks and how human being take their own decisions by their own experiences. And coming to the third one, we train the models in unsupervised learning technique by using unlabeled data set, and those models will work on the same data, that is unlabeled data set. So this works on uncategorized data, and it makes the unsupervised learning technique techniques are most important thing. So the real world data sets are usually consist of unstructured data and that does not have any pre-mapping with the output. It means that there is no output variable name in the data set. So there is no pre-mapping with the output, means there is no output variable name is existed in the data set. So in order to solve such type of problems and in order to solve such cases in a real-time applications, we need unsupervised learning techniques. So coming to the steps involved in unsupervised learning technique. So the first one is determine the type of the training data set. So what is the type of training data set? If it is the problem is related to images, then we need to determine, means we need to take the image type of data set. If it is not images or if it is a type of text or videos, then we need to determine this text type of data set. So this is what determining the type of the training data set. And coming to the next step is collect that raw data that does not have any predefined output names or the labels. So yes, the first thing is determining the type of the data set, and the next one is, so this type of data set we need to collect. So usually unsupervised learning means what? We are using unlabeled data set. So it means that we need to collect the data set which is not having any labels. And the third step is split that data set into two types. The first one is training data set and the second one is test data set. The first one is training data set and the second one is test data set. So for example, if you are having 100 data points in your data set, okay, 100 data points in your data set, usually we take huge amount of data for training of your model. So here usually we are taking 70 to 80% of the data for training of your model, and the remaining 20 to 30% of the data, that is less amount of data, for testing purpose. Okay, so from the data set only we are taking training data set and test data set. For example, if you are having 100 data points, so 70% means 70 data points will be using for training of the system, and 30%, that is 30 data points, will be using for testing of our model. And the next step is determine the hidden patterns from the training data set. Yes, so the main thing about unsupervised learning is finding the hidden patterns from the data set, because it is not having any labels and it is unstructured data set. So the main important step is finding or determining the hidden patterns from the data set. So how to find out these hidden patterns? By choosing a suitable algorithm on the data set. So the next step is choose the suitable algorithm for the model training. So for example, clustering algorithms can be used to find out the hidden patterns in the data set, and association rule learning algorithms also can be used for finding the hidden patterns which are present in the data set. And the next step is execute this algorithm on the training data set, right? So whatever the algorithm we are choosing to train our model, right? So execute that algorithm on the training data set. And coming to the last step, and yes, we have executed our algorithm on the training data set, right? It means that the training of our model is completed. Training is completed. Now we need to check what is the accuracy of our model, means how it is working. Is that model is working properly or not? Is that model is giving the accurate outputs or not? Then you have to evaluate the accuracy of the model by providing the test set. So actually we have taken the test data set is of 30%, right? So we need to use this test data set to find out the accuracy of the model by providing this test data set. So now on this test data set, if the model predicts the output correctly, then it is known as the model is working properly and it is accurate, means the model is accurate model, right? So these are the steps involved in unsupervised learning technique. Coming to how unsupervised learning works. So the first thing is we need to train by using the unlabeled data set. See this data set, we are using input raw data which is not having any labels, right? So not having any labels. So we have multiple types of images. Now we are using this data set to train my model. So the first thing is interpretation of this data set, means it is finding the hidden patterns. Right? And next, choose the appropriate algorithm on this data set, right? So now the next step is choosing the appropriate algorithm. Now using this algorithm on the training data set. So that is what pre-processing of that data set by using the algorithm, right? So here up to this the model training is completed. Right? So up to this the model training is completed. So yes, after choosing an appropriate algorithm on this input raw data, then it is giving the output as 2 clusters, right? So it means that 2 groups. Usually in technical terminology we need right? So it is giving the output as groups. So these groups are called as clusters. These groups are called as clusters. So here the algorithm is giving the output as 2 clusters. The first one is the images which are related to dogs, and the second one is the images which are related to cat. Here just the name dogs is just defining which type of image it is. So it is not exactly the output. The output is, these are the two groups which are coming from this input raw data. So there are two groups. The first one is related to dogs and the second one is related to cats. So this is how unsupervised learning works. So here training using unlabeled data set and then interpret the model by using the raw data to recognize the hidden patterns from the data. Then after finding the relationship between the data points, that is after finding the hidden patterns in the data set, then the model will apply suitable algorithm, right? And the next one is, once applies the suitable algorithm, the algorithm divides the data objects into groups according to the similarities and differences in that data set. Then the algorithm divides the data objects into groups according to the similarities and differences in the data points. So this is how unsupervised learning works. So coming to advantages and disadvantages of unsupervised learning technique. So unsupervised learning technique is used to solve the more complex tasks as compared to the supervised learning, because in supervised learning we are using labeled data, right? So here in unsupervised learning we are using unlabeled data. So in supervised we are using labeled data, means the corresponding output variable name is also giving in the input only, right? So he means the problems are very simpler in supervised learning data. So to solve the simplest problems in real world scenarios, we can use supervised learning technique. And coming to the unsupervised learning technique, it is used to solve the more complex tasks. And the next advantage is, unsupervised learning technique is preferable because it is easy to get the unlabeled data in comparison to the labeled data, right? So these are the two advantages by using unsupervised learning technique. And the coming to disadvantages of using unsupervised learning technique are, so this is more difficult than supervised learning technique. So because it doesn't have any corresponding output name. And the second one is, the result of unsupervised learning techniques might be less accurate, because here the input data is not labeled and the algorithms which are working on that input data do not know the exact output name in advance. So this is the main reason we get less accurate outputs by using unsupervised learning algorithms. So coming to the real world applications of unsupervised learning technique. So the first one is image and video analysis, anomaly detection, recommendation systems, and market basket analysis, and finally new sections. And there are many applications where we can use unsupervised learning technique. So types of unsupervised learning technique. So furtherly we can divide unsupervised learning algorithms into two types basis of the problem that we need to tackle. The first one is clustering technique and the second one is association technique. So clustering means groups the data based on the patterns found in the data set, and association means finding the relationship between input and output variables. So coming to the clustering. So clustering or cluster analysis is a machine learning technique which groups the unlabeled data set, right? So here clustering is a type of unsupervised learning technique. It means that we are using unlabeled data set. So clustering is to group the unlabeled data set. So we can define clustering is a way of grouping the data points into different clusters consisting of similar data points. It means that the data points with the possible similarities remains in one group, and the data points that has less similarities or no similarities comes under another group. It does this process by finding some similar patterns in the unlabeled data set. It means that the data points which are having similar patterns, that such as shape, size, color and behavior of that data point are divides as per the presence and absence of those similar patterns in the data points. So this is a process of finding the data points which are having similar patterns, and this clustering technique is commonly used for statistical data analysis. So this is very, very important. So coming to how the clustering is working. So this diagram explains the working of clustering algorithm. See here we are having different type of fruits, and now after applying the clustering algorithms, after applying the clustering algorithms on this data set, here the outputs are divided into clusters. Here the same patterns data points are formed as cluster 1 and these type of images are clustered as cluster 2 and the remaining data points are grouped as cluster 3. So this is how clustering algorithm works on the raw data. Right? Now the real-time applications of clustering. So these are the applications where we can use clustering technique in various tasks. So the first one is market segmentation and statistical data analysis, social network analysis, image segmentation and anomaly detection. So these are the real world applications where we can use clustering technique. So types of clustering methods. So usually clustering methods are divided into two types. The first one is hard clustering and the second one is soft clustering. So coming to hard clustering means the data points belong to only one group. Okay. So hard clustering means the data points which are present in the data set belongs to only one group. And soft clustering means the data points which are present in the data set can belong to another group also. This is a difference between hard clustering and soft clustering. But there are also other various approaches of clustering and these are the other clustering methods, that is partitioning clustering, density based. The first one is partitioning clustering and the next one is density based clustering and the third one is distribution model based clustering, hierarchical clustering and finally the last one is fuzzy clustering. So these clustering methods will be explained in the next sessions. The algorithms which are used to solve the clustering problems are k-means clustering algorithm and k-mode clustering algorithm, agglomerative clustering algorithm and divisive clustering algorithm, mean shift algorithm and DB-scan algorithm. So DB-scan means density based spatial clustering of applications with noise data. So these two algorithms comes under partitioning clustering and these two agglomerative and divisive clusterings comes under hierarchical clustering. And these two mean shift and DB-scan algorithms comes under density based clustering. So each clustering algorithm has its own criteria of executing the algorithm. So each and every algorithm will be explained in the future sessions. So these are the applications where we can use clustering techniques. So the first one is medical imaging. So for example, identification of cancer cells, whether the cancer cells are present or not in the human body. So the next one is customer segmentation, computer vision, market segmentation, social network analysis, search result grouping, image segmentation and anomaly detection. So these are the real-time applications where we are using clustering algorithms. So coming to the second one, association in unsupervised learning technique. So association rule learning is a type of unsupervised learning technique that checks for the dependency of one data item which is present in the data set on another data item. Means that, for example, if we have A and B data points in the data set, right? So here association rule learning is to find out the dependency of one data item on the other data item which is present in the data set and maps those data points accordingly so that it can be more profitable, right? So if we are having A data point in the data set, then how A is depending on the data point B. So this is what analysis of association, right? So the next one, we know that association rule learning is an unsupervised learning technique and we make use this association rule learning for finding the relationship between the variables which are present in the large data bases. So next, association rule is beneficial for making market strategy for more effective. So for example, Consider if a person buys item X, also purchase item Y. So this is a real-time application of association rule is market basket analysis. For example, in a supermarket, if a person buys item A, then that person buys item B also. Means it is finding the dependency of item A on item B. It means that finding the relationship between A and B. So this is what association rule learning. So how does it works? So this association rule learning works on the concept of if and then statement. For example, see, if A, then B also. So let's explain with an example. For example, if element, right? If element is called as antecedent and then element is called as consequent. Here A is antecedent, right? If element is called as antecedent and then element is called as, then statement is called as consequent, means B is consequent, right? So these types of relationships where we can find out some association or a relationship between two items is known as single cardinality, and it is about creating the rules where if the number of items increases, then cardinality is also increases accordingly. Example, if a person buys a milk in the supermarket, then buys a bread also, right? Now milk is A, that is antecedent, then buys bread also, means B is bread, that is consequent, right? So now A is antecedent, that is if a person buys a milk, then he will buy a bread also. So this is what antecedent and consequent. So this relationship is called as single cardinality. And these are the algorithms where we can use in association rule mining. The first one is a priori algorithm, ECLAT algorithm and FP growth algorithm. And applications of association rule learning means where we can use this association rule learning. The first one is market basket analysis. This is very, very important. So as I told you that if a person buys A, then he will purchase B also. Means we are using this type of association rule learnings in our market basket analysis so that we can improve the profit of that market basket. And the next one is medical diagnosis, and the third one is finding the protein sequences. It means that synthesis of artificial proteins. And the last one is it is also used for catalog design and loss leader analysis also. Thank you.